the MSI B850 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi. Now let's take a look at how long it takes to boot up. The design of this board is pretty decent. Exceptional good Wi-Fi adapter, 320 MHz channel bandwidth. The question on, does this motherboard able to run a high-end processor? Hi everyone, today we're going to have a look at this motherboard coming from MSI known as the B850 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi. I'm always curious to know how an entry-level board handles a high-end processor. Well, let's find out. I would first like to thank MSI to have provided this board for me to share with everyone, and to Cobell to have done the arrangement on the delivery. First, when you do the unboxing, this is what you will get. A set of SATA cables, where this is right angle. The proprietary EasyCom connector, or should I say cable, which I'll show you in a short while. Additional M.2 standoffs, where this is a clip function. And a tool for you to screw this to your motherboard or to release from your motherboard. Leaflets, where you have the shutout, the regulatory notice, and a quick installation guide. And not forgetting the Wi-Fi antenna, and the base of this Wi-Fi antenna is magnetic. Last but not least, the board itself. This is a 6-layer PCB ATX form factor motherboard, and throughout the board all the traces are with 2-ounce copper. The design of this board is pretty decent. As you can see, there's a dragon crest over here, the MSI logo at the top, and on the M.2 and chipset has a subtle labeling and a touch of black lines and green lines that makes this motherboard looks very decent. And if you are into white build, though these are all silver, it will definitely match the white build. Now, another bonus of this board is all the heatsink that you see over here, these are all made of aluminium. You don't get to have any plastic covering, which is a insulation of heat. That's what I like about motherboard, all fully aluminium on the heatsink. And it will definitely cool very well if you have a very good case airflow. Now, the size of this motherboard, since it's an ATX, the width in fact is at 305mm, the depth is at 244mm. And as for the top VRM heatsink and the rear, the measurements are as follows. This is at 35mm and this is at 40mm. The power phase of this motherboard is at 12 plus 2 plus 1 and having ATM choke. Right at the center over here, this is the 1718 socket, which allows you to plug a 7000, 8000 and 9000 series AMD processor. Right at the bottom, you have 4 DIMM slot, which has a max capacity of 256 gig and have a X Pro overclock profile of 8200. Now, do take note, when I mentioned that the X Pro overclock profile is 8200 and having a max capacity of 256, it doesn't mean that you populate all the 4 DIMM slot, right? You will get the overclock profile. Okay, it will never happen. In fact, it's kind of difficult to achieve that. But anyway, the sweet spot for AMD itself, right, for the bus speed is at 6000 to 6400. Anything going beyond, right, I don't find it beneficial. And what makes it perform pretty well, it should be aiming on the cache latency, where you see that some of the RAMs, DDR5 RAMs, right, they have CL28, CL26 or even CL30. Those are the timing that you should be looking at. But of course, for tighter timings, right, it will be on lower capacity, probably I'll say 32 gig or 24 gig. If you go beyond the 32 gig, like 48 gig, 64 gig and such, that will be of lower timing. Probably you will find at cache latency CL36 or CL38. And do take note, all those that I mentioned, right, the sweet spot will be on 6000 to 6400 bus speed. Alright, as for the PCIe lane, you have total of 4. Okay, the top slot, this is Gen 5, which is controlled by the processor, and this is backward compatible. No lane sharing, that's one thing good, and it runs at full speed of x16. Now, coming to the bottom 3 slot over here, these are controlled by the chipset. And do note the arrangement. This two, okay, the second and the last slot is of Gen 3 and running at x1. Okay, and for this is Gen 4 running at x4 and is backward compatible. But do note, when you populate the Gen 4 slot, and to populate either the second or the last slot, this lane here will still remain as Gen 4, but the speed will be x2. We sad to say that this is actually shared with this two. Alright, but one thing good is that the top slot is not shared with any. As for M.2, you have a total of 3, 1, 2, and 3. The first 2 slot is controlled by the processor. As for the last slot is controlled by the chipset. And the arrangement is this way. For the top slot, this is Gen 5 running at x4. And for this slot over here, this is Gen 4 running at x4. And as for the last slot, which is controlled by the chipset, this is also Gen 4, but at a speed of x2. And all this all this M.2 slot are backward compatible. The locking mechanism on the first PCIe slot for your GPU is pretty straightforward. When you plug your GPU, this will be in lock position. And MSI have done an extension on this latch so that you can easily reach out to this latch. To remove it, just press it down. This will remain released. You can have both hands holding on to your graphic card and to pull out. This is good. Now, as for the M.2, starting from the top slot, it's quite easy. To remove this, just press at the back and to pull it up. And this will expose the M.2 slot. And at the top of this M.2 heatsink, right, you have a thermal pad. So when you apply your M.2, make sure you remove this plastic tab that has a rubber cushion. Okay, don't throw this. This is meant if your M.2 is not able to touch the thermal pad at the top. So this will add on to have a taller cushion so that your M.2 will touch to this thermal pad. And again, reminder, before you close this back, make sure that if let's say you have populated the M.2, make sure you remove this plastic, right? Because the plastic is an insulation of heat. You want the heat to transfer to your thermal pad, so make sure you remove this off. And to place it back, looking at the 2 notch over here, align to the slot. Okay, these 2 protruding out. So just align it and to press it down. And that's it. Now, to apply the M.2 into the slot, only on the top slot you have this lever over here. Okay, slot in your M.2, push it down, adjust the lever. This is at catch position so that your M.2 will stay. To release it, simply swivel and this will spring out and you can take it out. Now, as for the bottom section over here, right, as mentioned to you, MSI have provided the additional standoff and the screwing tool. Now, this was original from here. I just took it out. Just want to demo and show you how it works. So imagine this is the additional M.2 standoff and you want to mount on the motherboard. Just plug this hexagonal shape with the clip to the tool. Okay, next, align to the thread that you need. Take for example this M.2, right, is over here. Okay, so just screw it in, secure it, pull off, and you will be in place. Now, as for the second slot and the third slot, the mounting is pretty straightforward. Just plug your M.2, clip it. See, that easy. To release, just press it. I wish that this mechanism is actually on the top, as in like making it all M.2s, right, having this clip. This is a very nice function. I like it. Now speaking of which, right, for the second and third slot, it doesn't come with a heatsink, so make sure you purchase a M.2. If it's generation 4 or 3, make sure you have the additional heatsink, okay, that comes with the M.2, so that will help to dissipate the heat. This board does come with a onboard audio, which is making use of the Realtek ALC897. Though it's of a older codec, based on the fact that this is an entry level board, but it does have decent sounding. We support 7.1 channel surround sound. As for the connection, this is meant for your front I/O, headphone and microphone jack. Next, you'll be given a 12 volt RGB connector. These are the older RGB strips and such, followed by the modern 3-pin 508 RGB connector. And you see these pins over here which says JDP1 and J-1. Well, this is meant for extreme overclockers where you purchase additional devices of each. The first pin which says JDP1, this is meant for the digital debug LED, okay, which is an external device. So this will sense what is wrong with the board so you can rectify the issue. As for J-1, right, instead of configuring the configuration in UEFI, there are additional features on that controller, which is you have to purchase it. When you plug to this, right, you can control it, configure it and such. But please be mindful if you are trying to use this tool, right, especially the J-1, any configuration that you set wrongly, right, you might not be able to boot the system. Okay, this is what I actually experienced. Then you got to do the hard way to do the firmware or to reset and such. But at all times, I don't think we'll be using this. Next will be the legacy COM port, followed by the 8-pin socket. This is whereby you plug your PCIe connector from your PSU to this socket. And what this does is to provide power to all the 4 PCIe slots. Because in the event if you to populate the graphic card and to add on things like your capture card or your sound card, okay, then you will need more power. So at all times, I would advise plug this with the PCIe connector from your PSU to supply sufficient power to have stability. Next will be the EasyCom pin, whereby MSI have their own proprietary AIO connection, or should I say liquid AIO connection, whereby it controls both the ARGB and the fan PWM in just one single cable. So with those liquid AIO, right, you don't have to fiddle with the cable mesh, just one cable to this EasyCom. If you do not have that, not to worry, MSI have provided you with this EasyCom cable, whereby this is connected to the EasyCom header, and you will split one which is for your ARGB, the other which is a fan header, and this you can control in UEFI. Next, you have two USB 2.0 header, followed by a front 3.0 Type A connector. Now there are total of 2, one over here, one over here. Meaning to say your front I/O you can have total of 4 USB Type A port, okay, that runs on version 3.0. Now do take note, not all case comes with those cables, as in like, it has one which has 2 USB Type A port. If you want 2, right, then probably you have to look for cases like the Laney O11D XL, where you have to purchase an additional front I/O port. So this will allow you to have total of 4 USB Type A port. Take note of this. Next, you have the fan header. Then this pin over here, okay, probably I need to zoom in and show you, because there are tons of pins over here. Now, starting from here, the JOCFS1. Now, this is meant for safe boot. Meaning to say, if your system hang and you can't go to UEFI and such, right, you can plug or short this pin, okay, not releasing, short this pin and to turn on your PC, and you will bring you to safe mode. Okay, this is what it meant. Next is the JBAT. This is meant for clearing your CMOS. On all the settings that you've done, right, you will just clear it and go to default. Right at the top, this is a 3-pin 5 volt ARGB connector again. And at the top over here, this is meant for the internal speaker, and beside it with this 2 pin, this is known as the chassis intrusion, and followed by the front I/O connector, where you connect your power switch, your reset switch, your power LED, and your hard disk LED. Moving to the front, okay, probably I need to zoom out. Now this I mentioned is for your front 3.0 Type A port, followed by 4 SATA connectors over here, which are right angle. Now as mentioned to you, right, there are no lane sharing on the M.2s. You will just run as it is if you populate all 3. Same goes to when you populate any hard disk, which is 2.5 inch SSD or 3.5 inch SSD, you can plug, and there are no lane sharing. In total, you are able to connect up to 7 storage devices, followed by a front Type C port, and this is running on 5 gig transfer rate. Then a 24 pin socket where you connect your PSU 24 pin connector to this to supply power to the rest of your PC component on the motherboard. Total of 3 fan headers, a 3 pin 5 volt ARGB connector. Moving to the top, you have the pump header. Alright, make sure when you're using liquid AIO, right, the pump header connect to this, because this is providing more amperage so that your pump will run at a consistent rate, as in like, you know, your motor. So make sure you connect to this, followed by a CPU underscore fan. Now I often advise a lot of you to plug your liquid AIO radiator fans or your air cooler fans to this. This is the primary or master controller of those liquid AIO or air cooler. Okay, and of course this is controllable. Now I forgot to mention, when you plug your liquid AIO header, pump connector to this pump system connector, right, make sure you run the pump at consistent rate, either 100% or 80%. Right? Do not do PWM. If you do PWM on your pump connector, right, your pump is going to damage in no time because due to the fluctuation. So you want it to run it consistently. If you find that at full load, which is 100%, is too noisy, you can lower down to 80% and not lower than that. Alright? Because you do lower than that, right, your performance might suffer. Followed by 2 8-pin EPS connector, whereby I always say that if you are just doing light overclocking and light undervolting, right, one will be more than sufficient, because the voltage is more than 300 watt, lesser than 400 watt. Okay, just to power up your processor and to pull the VCOS off from your VRM. So one is enough. Unless you're doing extreme overclocking, then plug 2. Okay, and again you might ask, hey Kyo, what if I plug 2? Is there any effect? No, there are no effects. If you are just doing normal daily usage, right, it will just pull off from 1. And reason some of you might want to plug 2 is based on aesthetic. At the rear, you have 2 buttons on my left. At the top, this is the clear CMOS button. At the bottom is the BIOS flashback. Yep, you can update the latest BIOS on this motherboard without plugging in your processor or the RAMs. Just make use of this BIOS flashback button. Next, you have a DisplayPort version 1.4 and is able to project at 4K 60Hz. And this port makes use of the integrated graphic on your processor. You'll be provided with total of 6 USB Type A port, where the black ones is at version 2.0. And as for the red and blue, they are version 3.2, but the red one is generation 2, having a transfer rate of 10 gig. Else for the blue one is at generation 1, having the transfer rate of 5 gig. 2 USB Type C port at the bottom, where it has a transfer rate of 10 gig. Right at the top, this is the RJ45 socket, which has a transfer rate or receiving rate at 5 gig. Over here, which is the Wi-Fi 7 socket. And take note, MSI have made use of a very good adapter, which is from Qualcomm, as compared to some other boards which is using the MediaTek. And what's so great about this adapter is that it has a 320 MHz channel instead of 160 megahertz channel. So it's of a better and stable adapter on Wi-Fi 7. Next, you have this audio section. At the top, line out, which is meant for your speaker. The microphone in, and followed by the SPDIF out. Now, something I like to highlight, MSI have done a very good job with the two buttons over here. As you can see, right, the clear CMOS button is protruding out. So when this is in the case and it's always facing at the back, so when you reach out for the clear CMOS button at the back, right, you will not accidentally press the BIOS flashback because this is protruding out. You can feel it. So a very brilliant touch. Next will be the Wi-Fi antenna. As in the past, we need to screw in, but with the antenna provided, this is plug and play. Sorry about the noise. See? It's that simple. You just plug it in and you just click into it. If you want to pull it out, you just pull. That's all. And you'll be wondering, can I make use of the older antenna? Yes, you can. There are threads on the socket itself. I'm just going to illustrate to you through my internet on how strong the signal it can pull on the wired 5 gig port and the Wi-Fi adapter, which is running on Wi-Fi 7. As mentioned to you, MSI have used a very good quality Wi-Fi adapter that allows 320 MHz channel bandwidth as compared to the rest of the motherboard I've tested, which is only at 160 MHz channel bandwidth. So with this 320 MHz channel bandwidth, let's see how strong the connection is. Just going to enable this. And once this is connected, okay, good. I'll show the status. Now over here, probably I would change something else. Okay, probably I'll change to Indonesia. Though it's still Singapore, but it's just a different server. Just to refresh the speed test. Alright, here we go. Let's see how fast this is. Okay, ping time. Whoa. Okay, almost nearing 3 gig. Hopefully it's sustained. Because some of the network card, it will just drop. Nope, no sign of dropping. It's still consistent at 2.9 gig. For download, upload. Oh, okay, I'm impressed. The upload, I thought it will be lower because it's sending data from my side to this server. Okay, this is one. Let's try again to see if there's any inconsistency. Same ping time. Still the same upload, around 2.8, 2.9 gig. Sorry, it's 2, yeah, correct, 2.8 or 2.9 gig. And as for the upload, similar, 2.8, 2.9, around there. Pretty strong. Alright, right now, let's change another server. Let's say I were to do, okay, this. Here we go. Now, you might be saying that I am using, 3 gig, using local server. That means to say Singapore to Singapore. Well, basically, I mentioned to you, I'm testing out the signal of the adapters. So, imagine that you are, within the distance of your own server, as in like own NAS, right? That is the connection that you will get. How come it disappeared? Okay, let me just try again. Okay, the connection is pretty strong. Good ping time. 2.9 to 3 gig of download speed. And as for upload, straight away 3.2 to 3. Okay, straight away around 3 to 2.9 to around 3, around there. Okay, let me just try again on another area. Another Indonesia server. Okay, these are Batam. I'm not too sure because other countries might not have the bandwidth for that. So that's the reason why I'm not getting good signal. Let's see this. See? If this server, right, do support those kind of bandwidth, it's just like from here to USA. If the C core is able to You know, provide this kind of connection, right? You'll be able to receive at this rate. So this shows that the Wi-Fi adapter is very strong and is very consistent. See, it's around 2.8 to 2.9. Let's try again. Now remember, this is from Singapore to Batam, okay, another country. See, without failure. This has proven that the Wi-Fi adapter that what MSI have chosen, right, having a 320 megahertz channel bandwidth, it does work perfectly, and I'm getting very good rates. Oh, exceeded. Alright, probably it will just drop down. Yeah, see, so it's very consistent as compared to some other Wi-Fi adapters on other boards, right, that has a 160 megahertz channel. I mean, it's like I've been getting 1.5, 1.6. That's the max that I can go. I can't go anywhere further. Alright, this is the wireless, or should I say the Wi-Fi. Just going to disable and to enable this. Now, testing on the 5 gig port. Okay, I'm just going to use the same. Okay, based on the fact that it's not connected to the internet. Okay, good. Okay, let's try something else, right? 5 gig port, Kuala Lumpur. Okay, it's further. Let's try Maxi. See how. Something's weird here. It's not functioning properly. Okay, let me try again. Changing the server to Maxi. Okay, good. Kuala Lumpur. Let's see how strong the 5 gig port is. Ping time not so great, but the data consistent. It's around 4.6 gig, which this is actually a 5 gig port. So it's around there, consistent. Same thing, consistent too. So this is Kuala Lumpur. Let's try another location. Sabah Jaya. This is another area at Malaysia. I've not tried this yet, so let's try. Ping time okay. See, it's very consistent. 4.6 to 4.7 gig around there for download, and for upload, let's see. Okay, it's consistent too. So this has proven that both the wired and the Wi-Fi adapter are performing as it's supposed to. Especially the Wi-Fi adapter, it is performing exceptionally good due to the fact that MSI have made use of a very quality Wi-Fi adapter, which is coming from Qualcomm. I've shown you the signal strength of my internet through the wired LAN port, which does match almost 5 gig, and especially the Wi-Fi adapter, which MSI claim that is of a better adapter, is proven. You have witnessed yourself. Now, the question on, does this motherboard able to run a high-end processor? Well, that will be on the next chapter. You can click on my top right hand corner and I'll see you there.